Hi guys, so Boris Johnson has been repeating his old mantra over the last number of years that there is no border in the Irish Sea, there will be no border in the Irish Sea, and that no British Prime Minister would accept any such scenario. Now, he later went to Northern Ireland last year and met with business leaders and community leaders there and promised them that there would be no checks on goods crossing the Irish Sea. And if anyone asked them to complete paperwork, they should tear it up and throw it in the bin. Even this year, he was saying that there was no border in the Irish Sea, while even at that moment, his government were preparing for that border. Now, let's hear how he responded to the fact that there is a border in the Irish Sea.
A year ago, you said there would be a border in the Irish Sea, and I'll quote you, "over my dead body." And here we both are. There is a border in the Irish Sea. Were you lying when you said there wouldn't be one, or did you not understand the treaty that you signed over Brexit?
Now, I think it's a bit of both. He lied, but he also didn't understand. So he didn't understand something and he lied about not understanding it. But he also lied about what it would actually achieve. He wanted to have Brexit done and dusted. Get Brexit done. Remember that mantra back in 2019. He won an election on that. And he wanted to convince the public, look, we have this deal, oven-ready deal, the withdrawal agreement. Once we have that in place, we won't have to talk about Brexit anymore. We won't need to deal with the European Union anymore. Everything will be over and done with. We can start talking about other things. I can get on with other issues about, increasing, food bank usage or cutting public services or thrashing the NHS. I can get on with that. While Brexit has been done, we won't need to talk about it anymore.
I think that the treaty I signed, is perfectly reasonable. I don't think that the interpretation or application of the protocol is sensible or pragmatic.
What's very interesting about this is that we've heard the old argument from Brexiteers over the last number of weeks that the EU's interpretation of the protocol is a problem. But Boris Johnson went a step further and he said the application of the protocol is a problem. Now you could, I think you'd still struggle to do so, but you could argue that the EU's interpretation is problematic. When I say you could struggle with that is because it's written down. But even if we were to be generous with the Brexiteers and allow them to say, okay, the EU's interpretation of the protocol is a problem, you can't say the application is a problem because it's the UK government that's putting it into place. They're the ones who are responsible for the application of the protocol, not the EU. So you can blame the EU for the interpretation, but you can't blame them for the application. The UK government is applying the protocol. They are the ones who have the responsibility to put in place these measures. Now, why is Boris Johnson blaming the EU for the application of the protocol?
There are all kinds of impediments being constructed, and we need to sort it out. I think we can sort it out.
By the end of June?
I think we can sort it out,
but
it's up to our EU friends and partners to understand that we will do whatever it takes.
We will do whatever it takes. Now, what does that mean? I think for many Brexiteers, they hear this and they think Article 16. Okay, Boris Johnson is going to invoke Article 16. That's him doing whatever it takes. But the problem with that is that, well, if you think he's going to invoke Article 16, or if you think it's possible for him to invoke Article 16, or he should do it, you don't understand Article 16. Yes, he can invoke Article 16, but it doesn't suspend the protocol. Article 16 is there to protect the protocol. It allows you to suspend part of the protocol for a limited amount of time with the goal of resolving the issue that's creating a problem. But it doesn't suspend the protocol. That's what's very important to remember. Now, when Boris Johnson says we'll do whatever it takes, he could mean something different. He could mean suspending the protocol completely. I don't think he means that. Or he could mean we're going to have closer alignment with the European Union. This would allow the UK to avoid the issue of the protocol completely.
There is some misunderstanding.
What does that mean, whatever it takes?
Well,
that you won't honour the protocol?
I think if the protocol continues to be applied in this way, then...
Remember, it's you that's applying the protocol, not the EU.
We will obviously not hesitate to invoke Article 16.
So it wasn't an oven-ready deal and we could be having a trade war in July.
If I may say so, I think there's I've talked to some of our friends here today who do seem to misunderstand that the UK is a single country and a single territory. And
Yes.
I think they just need to get that into their heads.
That the UK is a single territory. Now, is Boris Johnson confused here? Does he think that Northern Ireland is not part of the single market when it comes to goods? Or is he pretending not to know? Is he lying? Well, I generally think that Boris Johnson lies all the time. So I'm thinking here that he's lying in order to convince Brexiteers or to convince unionists in Northern Ireland that he's willing to do whatever it takes, invoke Article 16, which won't make any difference, or he's going to treat the UK, Northern Ireland included, as one entity, that Northern Ireland will be no different to the rest of the UK. Now, Boris Johnson, of course, is lying here. I think what he's doing is he's preparing the ground to perhaps rejoin the single market and the customs union in some way, or have closer alignment on goods with the EU, because this would resolve some of the problems in Northern Ireland. What would happen is the UK goods would flow much freer because the UK would be aligned or would be working towards closer alignment. This would be seen as a victory because Boris Johnson said, look, I took the bull by the horns. I'm the one who's in control here. I convinced the EU to back down. The problem was the interpretation and the application of this protocol. I told the EU this is unacceptable. And, this is what he's saying to the public. The public believe him. I don't know why, but the public believe him. And they think he beat the EU. Remember, for a lot of voters, and especially Brexiteers, it's a battle. We have to defeat the EU. The EU have to be beaten. That's how all of this seems to work for them. When in reality, perhaps Boris Johnson says to the EU, look, I can't deal with the problems of the protocol. We're not able to implement it correctly. Let's have closer alignment. We tell the public that we're not doing that. And I get over a hump. I think that's probably what he's doing. Lying to the public and doing something completely different behind the scenes. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think he's doing. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?